Good morning, everybody. My name is Imanizos, and welcome to In a Nutshell. Today we're going to be talking about Wukong. Now, I know Wukong is one of those, Warframes that people have very strong opinions about, so I'm going to try to be as basic and as in a nutshell as I possibly can with this particular Warframe. So, we're going to look at his basic stats at level 30 are 225 armor, so he's pretty good armor. 150 energy, kind of on the lower end, 300 health, and 375 shield, plus a 0.95 sprint speed, so a little bit slower. His basic loadout for his polarities, and you can get Wukong in a really simple way through the dojo. In the Tenno Research Lab, he is like Banshee, like Neza, and probably for another one, I think Volt also is there. Wukong can be collected through there, as well as his blueprint, and you can just build him straight from the Orokin clan. Well, not the Orokin, but the Tenno clans. So, something to keep in mind. Now, Wukong does have an exalted weapon, which is called the Iron Staff. And as you can see, it has good status percent chance, and a crit chance. It actually is a fairly good overall setup. Now, Wukong himself, his abilities are a bit lackluster. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to want to go ahead and show these guys at level 30, because that's the average level of most enemies in the game. So, Wukong's abilities, and we're about to take a look at them here, are pretty bleh. So his passive is increased combo duration. If you're a melee guy, that's fantastic for you, and it does work okay well with his Primal Fury. His first ability is Iron Jab. He explodes the Iron Staff to its true length, knocking down enemies in its path with a range of 10 meters, damage of 800, and a radius of 2 meters. I'm going to show you how sad this is. So this is 10 meters, right? There it is. And as you see, it did, like, a good amount of damage. And actually, even at 12 meters, it can still hit. And it does ragdoll fairly effectively. There we go. There we go. But, for the most part, I mean, it's such a depressing skill. It really, really is a depressing skill that it doesn't have a lot of what most people would consider to be a great status chance or crit. It's not based on weapon mods, but I could be wrong. So let's take a quick look over here at, I have Wukong's abilities and Warframe page up here. So, basically, his tenacity gives him plus 2 seconds longer duration. So he gets a 5-second combo counter. But that's only base. So damage is affected by ability, strength, and certain mods. So as an example, with Pressure Point, Shocking Touch, Intensify, they all increase the damage by a bit. So all equipped melee mods on your melee weapon. Now, I don't know whether it's actually on your melee weapon, which I'm guessing it would be, not on your Iron Staff. It does increase the damage of your first ability, which is good. Which is very, very good. Iron Jab hits add to the melee counter. Impact radius is affected by ability range, while the staff range is not. So you can never get the staff range to go higher than what it is, but you can get the impact radius to be increased. Okay, so yeah. So basically, yeah, the more mods I have on this skill, the more powerful it'll be. But if you notice, it only does damage to the first person it hits, even if it... See, we're a little out of range there. Oh, well. So, for a skill, and we'll have to see it after we, we'll go ahead and take a look at it again once we get our mods. Oh, God, I killed him. Usually their heads don't explode like that. I apologize to anybody with weak wills from the audience here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to respawn them. And we're going to look at my second ability, and my third ability, and my fourth ability, because beyond his first ability, he has very few... These other two abilities are defensive. His Defy is escape death by receiving a boost of health when killed, which is a 75% restoration. Its energy multiplier is 75%. Time invulnerable 5 seconds, and energy drain per second is 5 seconds. Defy is annoying. A lot of people say that, oh, Wukong with Defy, he can't be killed. The thing is, Wukong with Defy can be killed, and especially if you don't have the proper builds for him. Oh, what the hell is that? Huh? I'm so confused. I don't have a mod that gives me jump dumb. That's interesting. Will it happen once Defy is gone? It does. That is very peculiar. Okay, so I never noticed that before. Okay. And I will show you what I mean here. I really don't want to, but I'm going to show you what I mean here with the enemies. So unpause their AI, go ahead and go in here. I'm going to drop on my Defy. So I'll die. And now I'm vulnerable. But as you can see, I'm still losing energy. Even though I'm immortal, I'm still losing energy. From the Defy itself. And if I could just shoot, that'd be awesome. So you're out of energy. And you still need to, you know, keep going. The only way to do this is to have 100 Adrenaline Rage build. It's the only way Defy becomes a very useful skill. Now, beyond that, you know, in my personal opinion, because of how Defy works, it slowly but surely just, you have to recast Defy every few times that you die because of the fact that it doesn't 100%, can't talk. It gives diminishing returns. So every time you die, it gives you less health. Every time you die, it takes more energy. So it's one of those things that you have to keep working on it to make it work. Now, his third ability is a little bit better, a little bit more defensive. I like it a little bit more. Is Cloud Walker. He evaporates into a cloud of mist and floats through the battlefield. It has a duration. And it also has distance by energy, and then has a stun radius, which is pretty minuscule. But the distance by energy is kind of annoys me the most. So, I turn into a cloud. And I actually can float up into the air as a cloud. As you can see, like, I can't run, I can't dash or anything, but I am practically... I am like a specter on the battlefield, and that's kind of cool to me. I like the smoke cloud idea. The only problem is two things. First, enemies can only be affected by the stun like it seems to be once, and it's kind of weird how they get affected. Two is it's a duration-based ability, but then it also drains energy as you travel, which I think is a really frustrating mechanic. I really don't like Dee's choice with Wukong. I know he's slated for a rework, which thank God, because his skills need some serious tuning. You don't have an ability that's duration-based that also has, you know, an energy cost per second. It's kind of dumb. Either you give it an energy, make it a channel ability that gives an energy cost per second, or you make it duration-based. Having both is kind of stupid. You could have an effect though, as he moves, he gets bigger and bigger, and he gets more dispersed. And therefore it affects more people at a lower duration. So the stun say lasts 3 seconds, it lasts 1 second when he's fully dispersed, but it gives him a larger area which to affect enemies. Okay, I would understand that. And have it duration based, that's great, or have it channel based, that's fine. But don't have it energy by travel. That's just dumb. So now his fourth ability and final, of course, people have probably seen, is Primal Fury. You summon the Iron Staff and unleash Fury. The damage is based to 250, its melee range bonus is 20%, and its energy per second is 3. So, it's like any channeled exalted weapon. I have this tiny little staff, because I don't have a lot of range on my side. But as you can see, it's a fairly effective weapon, even against level 30s. And as you can see, it does get longer the higher your combo duration is. So something to remember is combo duration for his Primal Fury actually makes his staff go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know how they say, bigger stick. Anyways, so that's Wukong, kind of what he's able to do. And unmodded, I believe he's capable up to level 60s with his Iron Staff. But I think that's his limitation. And one of Wukong's biggest problems as well, as you probably noticed, is a lot of his abilities require channels or drains or energy costs, where he doesn't really... Oh, I think I just saw his face like separate from his model there. That was a little disturbing. So as you can see, it gets very long. But, and because he has Defy, which drains energy, Cloud Walker, that can drain energy, and his fourth ability, which also drains energy, he's kind of energy inefficient like crazy hard. So, your weapon that you get here actually affects, and if I put Primed Reach on here, you'll see what I mean. This actually affects your Iron Staff's grow rate. Now, also, your Iron Staff itself, if you put Primed Reach on there, and you'll see this, it automatically starts out with a pretty good range. Now, once again, the thing to remember is it's a good status weapon and a good crit weapon. So you can kind of build for both, and you kind of have builds based on the different enemies you're going to be fighting, magnetic or corrosive, whatnot, which is fine. Wukong's Iron Staff is what he entirely revolves around. Kind of like Titania, for most players, revolves around her fourth ability. But Blitzwing, Razor Wing is a lot better of a weapon compared to the Iron Staff, because the Iron Staff is just a melee weapon, where Titania's Razor Wing is both a ranged DPSer weapon and also a melee weapon. But most people don't consider her melee weapon to be worth out of the hell. So, how do you mod Iron Staff? Because a lot of people are going to be like, how do you do this? Okay, so I've formed with this once. You modify it by getting yourself... Ooh, I'm sorry, very sorry. You get yourself some Pressure Point, you get yourself some True Steel, you get yourself some Organ Shatter, that extra crit damage, and of course you're going to run yourself with, Reach, so you can have a little extra range on there. In your Naramon tree, you're probably going to be looking at things like, lordy lord. I mean, most of these are slash for things I have, but, you could do things like Fever Strike and Shocking Touch, giving you some corrosive damage. Granted, I usually run the rare versions of them, Virulent Strike and the electrical one, but I don't think I have that one anymore. No? What? Weird. Oh, Focus Energy is my... Okay, gotcha. But with this, you could probably go ahead and run, Fever Strike and Shocking Touch. Give yourself that status. Even though I'd love to run that for the extra status chance. Remember, the one thing you should be focusing on, and Gladiator Might if you have that for the extra crit damage. Fury for the extra attack speed, all that's always good. Although I would recommend using Berserker if you have Berserker, because Berserker is bold. But let's say this is our basic, static, simple build here. We'll call that good. And with Wukong himself, you want to... Of course, his polarity is V, which means he works well with Rifle Amp, Steel Charge, which is, of course, what we're going to put on there. He doesn't have any Matter Eye slots, but the biggest thing you want to throw on there is Hunter Adrenaline and Rage if you have those two together, because they're going to convert a lot of the damage he takes to health into energy, which is super useful. Unfortunately, I say this... Unfortunately, I don't know how well this affects his Defy anymore. But beyond that, you want to, of course, have Continuity and Intensify for the extra little bit of power. In his Zarin, you, of course, want to run him with Vitality. Don't really worry about his armor, don't really worry about his shields, because he's not going to worry too much about his shields either. He wants his health. In Naramon, you want to give yourself some flow, because you're gonna need that flow. You're gonna need that extra energy to play around with, and you might want equilibrium. It really heavily depends on how well your build is working. Beyond that, Streamline and probably either some duration, or a little bit of power range. Now, if I do power range, it gives everything a little bit of a nice, all-around increase, and you can see the restoration, energy multiplier, and the range on the Iron Jab are not affected by these. But the time invulnerable with Defy is, and its energy cost per second is reduced, as well as the distance per energy is also reduced for Cloudwalker, and the energy per second for Primal Fury. So now that we have him slightly built out, again, we're going to be looking at, our level 60s here, and it's going to be a little bit of a different story with how I've got everything modded. Ooh, So, as you can see, a crazy, crazy fast change from what you just witnessed before. You just saw me like 3-shot level 60s, or 1-shot level 60s now. That's the difference between a modified Wukong and a non-modified Wukong. So we're going to go ahead and ramp these up to 135s. And I'm going to show you that, yes, again, these are Lancers. These are not Bombards, which I completely understand. People are like, well, so it's not the heavily armored people. It's like, yes. But until you start doing really, I mean, granted, these are high-level, really, really high-level people, you're not going to be seeing those Bombards. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of the Lancers and we'll do Bombards. So we'll do Corrupt Bombards. I think they're the heavier ones. In fact, let's do some Bombard Xmas, shall we? Let's do 5 of them. So we have 5 enemies out there. All Xmas, which is they have lots of health. And as you can see, yes, they take an absolute beating. And it's frustrating. But, at the same time, you can see that even though they're taking, these are Xmas and they're big. I didn't realize they were so big. Why did Xmas get so big? That's weird. Alright. But yeah, so once you see this, granted, you're like, oh, well, see, you can't kill them very fast. Like, true. But if you're able to kill, level 135 Xmas units in any amount of speed, I mean, you better have a very good weapon. I mean, there are some people who have some fantastic weapons. Once again, my weapon isn't truly modified. Now, if I wanted to say, okay, Darkstaff, let's get you modified to what I think you should be doing, I'd bring it over here to this, which, as you can see, is a little bit more interesting. So, Prime Strike, we'll go ahead and we'll put that up there, actually. We'll keep it there. And then we'll go ahead and we'll throw on Focus Energy up there, which brings me into my corrosive state. Again, these are all primed mods. These guys are wreck. Did I sell some sacrificial steel? I wonder if I took that off, what I would get. Oh, I can't do that. Dang it. Alright. So we got that corrosive in there. Condition overload. Yeah, 25%. And volcanic edge. Do I have another one that gives status? I don't think I do, which is frustrating. So let's go ahead and over here, and we'll grab more Shocking Touch for more corrosive. Oh, not enough. This is useless. That would be useless. Rending Strike would kind of work because it has puncture, but it's not really. So we'll just do Reflex Coil for the increased 1 energy per, boom boom. And then for this build, I think we'll keep this build what it is. So we fully modded out with the best mods I could put on it. Granted, I'm sure people are going out there going, what are you doing? There's far better mods than what you just pulled out. Probably true. I could probably be doing the one that grants, crazy amounts of critical chance based on the combo duration, which actually I don't know if you can actually put onto this thing. Oh god, the slow is painful. You know, if you compare this though, it's actually doing a fairly good job at wrecking these guys' face. Like, this is actually, if you consider how many times, whoa, what the hell? If you consider how hard it is usually to kill, you know, level 135s, this actually isn't too bad. Now, the biggest problem, of course, you're going to be running into is, hold up, these guys are going to be firing at you and dealing tons of damage. How are you surviving this? That is the one big question. And that's where Defy comes in. But, like I mentioned, Wukong is definitely not the easiest Warframe to understand, and his kit, as I mentioned before, is a little bit bland. Now, another thing you can do is I could swap out the Iron Vault, which is kind of an interesting mod. He has a couple of them. See? That lets me jump into the air. Although, I was pretty sure it required a slam attack. That's what I thought it did. Although it might just be increased damage that it gives. Executing a slam attack increases the range by 15 meters in height. Okay. So if I do, for example, if I have my iron staff on, and I go like that, and I go... Yeah, you can see that shockwave that comes out from it. Gotcha. So yeah. And he has a couple other mods, and we will take a look at them really fast here in the Orbiter, because that's where you pick them up. And, to be fair, as I mentioned, to be fair, they're not all that bad. I really believe it's still Meridian that has his parts.
Anything you need, Tenno?
I'm probably wrong. I am wrong. Arbiters of Hexus? I gotta remember where these dang things go.
What can we do to help your journey?
Yeah. Okay, so Enveloping Cloud, which allies within 4 meters of the cloud become invisible to enemies for 14 seconds. And that's a constantly refreshing buff, as long as the enemies stay within your cloud. And then Primal Rage, killing an enemy increases critical chance by 10%. The increase decays by 1% per second. So a lot of people run Primal Rage on him to get him into red crit territory really, really fast. So this is the one mod I would say I don't have, which actually is super important for a lot of Wukong players. But it also comes down to the fact that if you have this, then all you're doing is you're dropping on to your build, you're just dropping on the, the status chance increasers, your status chances, and trying to get as much raw damage and modifiers onto your crit as you can. Because this will increase your crit chance, which is great, but if you're facing enemies that are beyond what your weapon can deal with, you're going to be losing that crit chance pretty fast. So that's Wukong in a nutshell. And as I mentioned before, you pick him up from the Tenno lab in the dojo, and all of his parts, including his main blueprint, come from that lab. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It's been kind of a rambling one, and I'm sorry. I will go over a couple things really, really quick. So, Defy, the way that it stands, is the energy reduction is how much you lose for Defy, okay? So, upon losing all of his health, Wukong is healed to 45 to 75% of his maximum health based on the rank of the ability, and gains invulnerability. As a consequence, Wukong loses 50 to 25% of his current energy. So the higher the rank, the less energy he loses. But that's okay. And like I mentioned, the amount of health restored diminishes with each subsequent death while Defy is active. So again, you would want to just you want to every so often tap that Defy and reactivate it. Which is a little bit frustrating sometimes, I can imagine. So, in his case of his cloud, whenever upon activation or deactivation, enemies within the range of Wukong become temporarily stunned, which opens them up to finishers. You can also You can also move through enemies while in cloud form to actually find a form of invisibility for yourself. Enemies can't see you when you're in cloud form. As an FYI, you can actually use cloud form as a form of getting through stuff. However, and it does give you immunity to status effects, but if you do pass through sensor bars or laser barriers in spy missions, it will activate the data vault's alarms. But it won't alert any security cameras. So there's benefits to it, disadvantages. Now, his primal fury, as far as I know, his attacks have a 200% critical multiplier with a 25% chance to crit, a 10% status chance. That's static. That's a static stance chance, even not including his actual weapon itself. So it's a really good idea. You can do a lot of really crazy, awesome stuff with that. Obviously, there are no Riven mods for it. And the ground finishers that you apply deal 300% total modified damage, and prompted finishers actually deal true damage to enemies. So finisher, quote-unquote, finisher damage, of course. Now, as far as I know, that's all the interesting things about Wukong that I can find. I can't find anything more about it, but Primal Fury's attacks can damage enemies across the Rift Plane. So a little other thing you can, if you're like, oh no, the Limbo banished me, just open up the door and just go into town, because you can kill people from that. So, everybody, once again, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button. If you want to see more in a nutshell, please subscribe to this channel. If you have comments, good or bad, leave them in the comment section, and I will get to them as soon as possible. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this. I did record this on Turkey Day, so I apologize for people who are like, why did you do that? You're a horrible person. Sorry. But until next time, I will hopefully see you all, the rest of you guys, in the next video. And if not, have a great rest of your week, weekend, or month. Bye, everybody.